The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And here we are, episode 64.
64.
And what is the topic?
This is Mysteries of the Universe.
Nice.
Yes.
I like this.
Complicated, but fun.
Yeah, it's kind of wormholy.
Yeah.
But so is a lot of stuff we do talk about.
Absolutely.
But I am super intrigued with this stuff. I always have been.
Yes.
Cool. Well, before we jump into it, anything from last week?
Yes, last week we did What's Race Got to Do with It, and we got a lot of really good responses from that. I was worried, honestly, because we did get into a little bit of politics in this. You have to, because that's what it's about, you know?
Right.
And that's one subject that I'm always, like, really hesitant to talk about, that and religion, you know? But at the end of the day, we are who we are, and we're not fooling anybody into thinking that, you know, we're not on one side or the other, because we're pretty liberal type people here. So
Right.
I think it's pretty obvious which way we go with things. So I'm thankful that we've got a good response on that.
Cool.
Yeah. I figure
Me
with
too.
our listeners, you know, of course. It
Yeah,
makes
I mean,
sense.
I feel like sometimes in this day and age, any topic could maybe offend somebody.
Yeah, it really can.
But these are definitely ones that tend to be the elephant in the room
That's right.
in a lot of situations. And
We have to talk about those
yeah,
things.
we really do.
As hard as it is, yeah, somebody
That's
has to.
part of the problem
Yeah.
in this world is we need to talk more,
Exactly.
fight less.
Yes, you're right. So we did, like I said, got a good response on that. And then I wanted to read something from one of our listeners. She also reads my blog. And this was a response to my blog. My first blog in 6 months actually, was about my relationship with my father. And I did this for Father's Day and called it Father's Day for the Fatherless. And this was her response to my blog. She said, "Thank you for sharing that. My dad was an absentee dad and walked out for good when I was 14. You helped me move on from him," because I work with her a lot with readings and stuff. "For the last 40 years, my father-in-law has been a father to me. I'm glad that you were able to try again with him, but there comes a time when you have to walk. It's good that you reconciled even in death. I hope you are well and staying safe."
That's cool.
Yeah, thank you for that. I love
nice.
those kind of comments that was left there on the blog. I appreciate those because I know that there's people that get it. They totally connect to that, you know?
Yeah, because I think when you first shared it, you know, my comment was, this is a wonderful story. Yeah, there was a lot of sadness and loss there, but it felt like a warm, like, I don't want to say Hollywood ending, but a warm, happy ending. Kind of like it's full circle.
The gist of it really that I wanted people to take from it was that you could heal a relationship whenever. Even if your parents or whoever has passed, no matter who it is, we can connect to them and we can try and heal that relationship.
Yeah.
Because it is important. Like, since I've been able to do that, I understand things a lot better. I'm able to talk more freely about the things that have happened to me because it's weird that my mom's here and she can hear me talk shit about her basically, but it's her way of, like, her support is telling me that's what you're supposed to do. You've accepted it, so you have to share, you know, that this is what you've been through and show people that they too can get past these things.
And there's no shame in it because not even for your mom.
Yeah.
Because once we go to the other side, we gotta learn that anyways.
Right.
What we did wrong.
Right.
You know, that's just part of it.
I really think too that people like us that are put here as light workers, we have to go through these types of things in order to be able to help people. So I look at my experiences with my father, with my mom, with everybody, not in the way that a lot of people do. I look at them as learning experiences and try and figure out how I can help others. And I'll tell you what, people that have been through similar things are attracted to me. I'll start doing readings for people and things will start coming through that are exactly like things that I've been through, and I understand why they're drawn to me.
Right.
So everything that I've been through, it's for me to help others with. So I have to share it. I have to be open about it, as hard as it is.
Yeah.
You know. But I really appreciate that.
That's where the growth is. It's hard.
Yep.
It's hard to delve into things that aren't pretty, aren't nice.
It's
Traumatic,
horrible, yeah.
But that's where growth is.
That's exactly right. You have to get past these things to move forward. You really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yep, that's all I got.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, episode 64.
64.
Mysteries of the Universe.
So I'll be very honest. I am not smart in this way. Like, I'm not book smart at all. So doing research for this was difficult for me. A lot of what I actually Googled how to explain these things to children, because that's like, I looked up the speed of light for how to explain it to children, because for me that's like the easiest way. If you're going to talk to me like that and I can absorb it without all of your mumbo jumbo about this and that and molecules and blah blah blah. So I did a lot of my research off of things like that. So I tried to bring it down hopefully in like layman's terms, not just for everybody, for myself, so that I could explain a lot of it.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, but
because it is heavy.
It is, and really, when we say the word mysteries, like, we're going to talk about a few things that are fact, things that we know, but most of these mysteries are really mysteries. They're things that scientists know nothing about, or we know very, very little about.
Right.
We're going to talk about things like black holes and what else? Black matter or dark matter and all kinds of things.
Cool.
So yeah, I got a whole list of those mysterious things that we don't really get to talk about.
Right.
Why we believe them, parallel universes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
I thought that first, because I really would like, if I was going to listen to something like this, I would like to be explained a couple of the basics behind this. Like, what is the speed of sound? What is the speed of light? Because a lot of us that have been out of school for a long time probably don't remember a lot of the details in these things.
Right.
I didn't, for sure.
Yeah, I don't.
So I thought that I should probably explain those couple of things first before we get into it.
Cool.
First of all, the speed of sound. Let's talk about that. Is vibration made by some movement, like plucking a guitar string.
Yep.
Okay. The speed of sound is how fast the wave or vibrations pass through the medium or matter. The type of matter determines how fast the sound will travel. So sound waves that they move faster in water than in air. And sound travels even faster through steel, which I found very interesting. Yeah. I didn't
But
realize that.
it needs a medium to travel.
Yes.
Sound cannot travel in space because it's a vacuum.
This is, yeah.
So
good
that's
point.
an interesting.
Yeah. Can you imagine what that would be like to be out in space and there's just nothing?
Complete silence.
I wonder, because like they say that there's this room that you can go into that's like almost completely soundproof. Have you read about this?
Yeah, where you can hear your heartbeat.
And it's supposed to like kind of make you crazy after you've been in there for a little while. You can't handle it.
Yeah.
So I assume that space is kind of like that too, where you would just be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
this
would
is
be
weird.
whoa.
Very weird. When a jet or like a spacecraft breaks the sound barrier, that creates a sonic boom, and that's breaking the speed of sound.
Right.
It's what's interesting too. I don't think I've ever seen this. I saw a picture of it today. Is that when the sound barrier is broken, the jet or spacecraft also sheds water droplets that have condensed on the aircraft, creating this really cool like halo of clouds around it. I don't even know how to describe it, but you guys should look it up. It's really cool. like a complete circle of clouds around where it came through, almost like it looked like it went from one portal to another.
Wow.
Really interesting. Yeah, I'll have
That's
to
cool.
show you later. Remind me.
It's kind of interesting when you think like if there was an explosion in space or something, it's silent.
Right? It is.
Even the most like massive stars and things like colliding would be like silent.
Totally silent. Yeah.
That's a bizarre concept to grasp. I don't know why.
It is.
Because you see something so massive and all this energy, but there's no medium for any sound to travel.
Was it that movie Gravity? Do you remember that movie? I believe that there were parts in there where there were things that they showed what it would be like and how they're coming together, and then they collide, but you hear nothing.
Yeah.
It's just nothing. But I can't imagine that, you know?
It would sure make, like, if you could float there and just witness some of these things occur, you know, by the, you know, the bodies out, the heavenly bodies out there colliding or whatever it is. How peaceful, even though it looks destructive, but the sound adds so much more intensity to that.
That's exactly right.
You know what I mean? Like, imagine having an earthquake and it was silent.
Right. That would be really weird.
That would be weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Okay, and then the speed of light. So the speed of light is 1 million times faster than the speed of sound. It moves through an empty space at 186,000 miles per second. Okay, so basically the speed of light, it would be if you circled the equator 7.5 times in 1 second. It takes 8 minutes for light from the sun to reach the Earth. That's also a good meter. For stars, it takes years for us to see their light.
Yep. For them to go out, too. So you could see their light. They've already burned out. But you would continue to see that light. That's interesting.
That is, isn't it?
And it goes right through space, so it doesn't need a medium.
Yeah.
It can go through, well, not everything, but doesn't require anything to move.
This whole concept makes me feel so small. So small.
There's a reason, though, for that.
Yeah.
That light requires no medium to travel.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, it's a much deeper meaning, but it's because essentially the creator, the energy of all this is light.
Absolutely. It's a source. Yep. That's a great point. The theory is that nothing can travel faster than light. So that is the difference, the speed of sound, speed of light. Something else let's talk about real quick is we live in the Milky Way galaxy, right? The Milky Way galaxy is a spiral galaxy with hundreds of billions of stars and planets. It measures 120,000 light years across. We live on Orion's arm. Orion's arm is the home of the Milky Way.
Oh, wow.
There are 40 billion planets with the possibility of life in the Milky Way galaxy, just in this galaxy alone. That's crazy to think that. And we want to believe, well, a lot of people want to believe that we are the only thing.
No way.
There's no way. That's so ignorant to think we're the only things.
There's no way.
No.
The other point, too, about that, as far as we're concerned, nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. I think nothing that we know of here.
Yes.
But I do believe it's possible.
Yes, with the knowledge that we have,
right,
you know.
We have. Not the technology we have, but
no.
It's possible.
Yeah, we don't have the technology, and, you know, we were just talking about this earlier when it comes to things like space and learning about things like Mars and which planets could sustain life. Well, we're looking at what could sustain life and what we know as what could sustain life for us.
Yes.
We're not thinking about that these other creatures may not need the same thing.
Yeah,
they may not need water.
They may not need oxygen.
Right.
Maybe they live off carbon dioxide.
Exactly. So there could be living things on other planets. We're I mean, there are, but we're very, very ignorant to think that just because a certain planet doesn't have what could sustain us, that means that there's no creatures there.
Right.
That's very ignorant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So something else, let's see, this is definitely a mystery of the universe. We know very, very little about that, and this is dark matter. These are things that I really didn't know anything about, and it's very fascinating.
Yeah, I think dark matter is more of a recent discovery, maybe within the last, I don't know, several decades?
Yeah, I think you're right. I might have it in here somewhere. We might get there. So everything is made up of what is called baryonic matter. Baryonic matter is protons, electrons, and neutrons. Okay, but it still only makes up 5% of the universe. So we don't know what makes up, let's say, 20% of that is dark matter. Okay, wait, hold on one second. Let me try and backtrack for a second here. Okay, so 5% of the universe is made up of baryonic matter. Okay, the rest is made up of dark matter. 25% of that is dark matter. And 70% is dark energy. So it's 3 different things. Let's see. So dark matter, the way that they kind of explained it was like almost like a spider web. Like everything is kind of attached by this invisible gravity. There's like this pull between everything, right? So that is what the dark matter is. It's like the space in between the stars and the earth and the planets and everything else. It's the matter in between those that makes their gravitational pull.
Huh.
It's, really interesting concept, huh? Yeah. So it says scientists are confident that it exists because of the gravitational effects it appears to have within the galaxy. It's completely invisible to light and other forms of electromagnetic radiation, making it impossible for us to detect with the equipment that we have today.
Right.
That's the biggest problem, is that we don't have the technology to really figure these things out because we don't know. That's what we have scientists for. You know, they're working on these things, but we're just not, at that rate.
I mean, we rely so much on our eyes. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. But I know scientists don't. They can measure and test a lot of different things. And I definitely believe that there's been spacecraft that they've been able, that's crashed or landed or whatever, they've been able to reverse engineer and figure some of that stuff out.
Yeah.
However, that's just the machine itself.
Right.
What that machine can do while it's out there, we don't really know.
Right. That's for sure.
And it probably can detect a lot, Maybe it's just, and maybe it has nothing to do with that. It's just their conscious connection or subconscious connection to,
right,
the creator themselves to say, this area,
right,
stay away.
Right. It's kind of like oxygen. We know it's there, but we can't see it. It's the same kind of thing. But that doesn't mean that like other creatures can't see it. Other beings from other planets, they might be able to see this dark matter that we're talking about with their own eyes. We don't know.
Maybe.
Because we're all so different.
Yeah.
We don't know how evolved they are. And then dark energy, which makes up 70% of the universe. Is the expanding outward and it's moving faster and faster of the universe. So imagine that space is full of bubbles and they're repelling away from each other. And when they're repelling away from each other, the spaces that are filling in between them are being filled with new bubbles. So this is what is happening to our universe, is it's expanding outward and it's being filled in these areas. And it's moving, it's expanding faster and faster and faster. So that's dark energy.
And that's what's amazing is, so if it's expanding, what is it in?
Right.
That allows it to just keep
that's
growing.
The dark matter or what? Yeah, but yeah, how infinite is space? Is there an end to it? Where we don't know. It's probably just going to keep
at
going
a rapid rate.
Yeah, it just goes. We don't know.
And I imagine then things are things are crashing into each other. But does that mean things are moving further away from each other? Because I've read before that the moon is moving about an inch away every year.
Yeah.
From the Earth.
That would make sense. Yeah.
So
that's quite a bit. Think about it.
Spreading out.
Everything's spreading out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's that going to do to, a gravitational pull? I don't know.
Yeah.
As it gets farther and farther. These are all mysteries. I don't think,
Right.
Let's see. Let's talk about black holes. There are 3 different types of black holes, and this is something too that's a huge mystery that we really don't know a whole lot about.
Right.
But they have them into 3 different types. There's stellar mass black holes, intermediate black holes, and supermassive black holes.
Right.
Every galaxy at the center has a supermassive black hole. Black holes don't seem to make a whole lot of sense. They are extremely dense and have immense gravitational forces. The force is so strong that nothing can escape. Once it gets past, it's called the event horizon. Nothing can escape from it. It goes in to the black hole. The force is so strong. Even light can't escape.
Right. I wonder if then eventually every black hole consumes its galaxy at some point.
That's definitely a possibility. And so what they're saying isn't that nothing can exist on the other side of this black hole. What they're saying is that once it passes that, what is it called, the event horizon, the speed of light is so fast that it just seems to disappear. Everything disappears.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that what's going through there is completely disappearing.
No.
So that black hole could just be a portal to somewhere else.
There's no proof of what it is.
No, there isn't.
I definitely believe it's that.
Yeah.
I believe it's a way to either jump. This is where I was saying it's possible to travel faster than light.
Right.
And it's either jumping from parallel universes or different universes or maybe even different galaxies.
Right. Yeah.
Because think of the amount of time it would take to be traveling through space to get from one place to another, and the way your body ages. And so how are all these other beings that are able to do it?
Right.
How are they able to do that?
Right.
That quickly?
Exactly.
Now, I've seen, this can be questionable, but I've seen footage of like UFOs. We've all seen it. Then I've seen ones where it's like a window in the sky almost like opens.
Yeah. To like another portal.
Yeah. It's not necessarily like you see the thing come zooming in and zipping away.
Right.
It just like, it comes out.
That's a trip.
But, I mean, could be fake. Maybe.
Right.
Could be real.
Yeah, we don't know. So the supermassive black hole that lives in the middle of our Milky Way galaxy is called Sagittarius A. And it is made up of 4 million suns and... Oh, nope. Its diameter is 4 million of our suns. So that's huge.
Yeah.
That is very, very large. Let's see. A supermassive black hole is 1 million times stronger than a stellar, which is the small one. The way that black holes are created, there's the smaller of the mass, the smaller the black hole is what I understand. And I'm not, this isn't my thing, so if I explain this wrong, I apologize. But like a stellar black hole, it would be like a smaller star. And what happens is that star collapses. Instead of exploding, it collapses.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like a vacuum effect.
Right.
But that can happen to anything, to any matter at all.
But that in itself can kind of show you how you can bend space.
You can bend space.
And therefore time. Right.
Exactly. Yep. Let's see. What else can I tell you about black holes? Let's see. So when, like, let's say that a person is, I mean, you obviously wouldn't survive in space like this, but we're just going to hypothetically say that you're approaching a black hole, right? And you start to seem to move slower and slower as you're approaching the event horizon. It's very, very slow. And then all of a sudden, you're gone, is what they said, because you enter that event horizon and you can't see the light anymore. So it's like, almost like if you have a Roomba, the way that it sucks it in, you know, and then all of a sudden that's it.
I don't know why they just don't send a camera in there.
I'm sure they've tried. I mean, I would think that they would, or they're going to create that. I don't know. Yeah. I guess I should have looked that up.
Now, you see the photos whether they're photos or graphically recreated images. But sometimes you see them just kind of floating out in space where they're not in the middle. It doesn't appear to be in the middle of a galaxy.
No, because anything can become a black hole. So anytime that a star dies, it can become a black hole. When I say anything, the way that they were explaining it is literally anything. Even a person, if there was like a gap in like the molecules or whatever happens, it could become a black hole. How that works, I don't know. Not that smart. But it's pretty impressive. Like, watch some of these things on YouTube about the black holes, and it's a lot more, it's a lot different than I thought it was, you know?
Yeah.
It's a different kind of concept, but there can be however many black holes. They're everywhere. It's not like, but there seems to be this one supermassive black hole that every galaxy has, and then they have the stellar mass and intermediate black holes as well throughout the galaxies.
Trip.
Yeah, isn't it? You gotta wonder if things are getting sucked into this vacuum. Yeah, what's on the other side of this vacuum? You can't tell me it's just like putting things down the drain and that's the end.
Yeah, no.
That can't be.
No, it's like a waste of the creation.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, of course, the way that they were describing it in these videos, well, if this hypothetical person were to go through, you know, you wouldn't see them anymore. They would disappear. They'd probably still be knowing what's happening, and then they would die.
Yeah.
Well, they'd probably already be dead, but okay, hypothetically, let's say. So something else that I find very, very interesting when it comes to mysteries of the universe is parallel universes.
Yeah.
This is a wormhole in itself, and there's actually no proof, no scientific proof at all that this exists. It's just that there's things that don't make sense in the universe that they're trying to figure out, and so these are theories of how that could make sense. So they're working on this. These are called theoretical physicists that do this work. If I remember correctly, this was on the Big Bang Theory. I think that was Sheldon's job or one of them. This is what they did. And I never realized that this is what those scientists are doing. They are coming up with hypothetical ways that this works in the universe. And that's a trip.
Yeah.
That's a total trip.
Well, that's it was interesting to see how Einstein sort of came to the realization about what am I trying to say? Bending space and time.
Yeah.
Relativity.
The theory of relativity.
Theory of relativity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they studied Mercury, and as Mercury orbits the sun, it makes sort of like, remember those gyrograph things that you could draw and make these sort of like
yes, I remember those
geometric designs. Mm-hmm. Well, if you could envision that, the way that it moves around the sun, but it's an elliptical orbit, it's not round.
Right.
So, but they noticed over, I don't remember how long, a very long period, that it's moving a little bit.
Right.
And they couldn't understand that. So that's where Einstein said, well, think about the mass of the sun in itself, and if it's sort of suspended in space, and picture space as like a flexible tile checkered floor.
Exactly.
And the mass of that sun weighs that area of that floor down.
Yes.
So it's going to affect the orbit of the closest thing, if not everything, but definitely the closest planet, which is Mercury.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense.
It does.
So if you dropped that mass down in, because there's also, they talked in his papers and stuff about black holes, but I believe also white holes, or something to that effect. So it was the opposite of black hole.
Oh, interesting.
So like where nothing can escape in a black hole, and nothing can get in.
Yeah.
In the opposite.
That's a trip. I'll have to look that up.
I think it was something like that.
Yeah. Whoa.
So.
Yeah, that's a total trip.
Yeah.
So let's see, coming back to parallel universes. So if you've ever seen the show Stranger Things, this is a lot of what this show is based on, is a parallel universe to ours. It's a little bit far-fetched, but who knows?
Right.
Because in this parallel universe, it's not a really nice place. So we don't know. These types of things, we always say that life imitates art. Yeah. And so these things could very well possibly be real. We don't know.
Right.
But like I said, there is no scientific proof that they do exist. But a couple of things reasons why they believe that they do. First of all, is they believe that it happens when two universes collide and then form a alternative universe. And because space is silent, you're not going to hear those two universes even collide. You know, there might not even be proof of that.
Right.
But they said that they believe that these two universes, when they collide, that they produce possibly another universe off of there, and that universe could be a dud. It could be empty, which is just like, that's right. Cool, like a total hollow. It could be a total reality, difference of what's going on here, like the complete opposite. They really have no idea. But one way that they kind of tried to explain this with space is if you take a tightrope, okay? When we're walking across a tightrope, we are just going in a straight line, right? But if you take like an ant, for example, they can go in a spiral around the bottom and come back to the top around that tightrope. They don't just have to walk across, they can walk underneath. So they said this is kind of what they imagine space to be like. That why can't there be that same kind of, spiral going on in space?
Yeah. If
that makes sense. So this is one of those topics where I think that our minds can really go with it.
Yeah, because I feel like even parallel universes don't necessarily mean they're within the same dimension.
Right.
So it could be different dimensions.
Right.
So meaning, we've talked about this in a previous episode, and that was, we did talk about a little bit about parallel universes. So things in your life, choices, really hard choices that you had to make. Mm-hmm. What happened if you made the other choice?
Right.
Well, that actually goes on.
Yeah. That's one
that
theory of it.
Continues as that's a theory of it.
Right.
And Dolores gets into a lot of that too, especially in this book that I'm reading right now, The Convoluted Universe. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
you realize,
I tried to listen to it.
Crap, there's so much going on.
Yeah,
that your eye wouldn't even get.
No, our brain can't comprehend a lot of it.
Right.
We're not evolved enough for that.
Yeah, but I definitely feel, I remember as a teenager, like looking in the mirror at one point and going, wow, I wonder if like on the other side of the mirror, that's the alternative universe.
Right. Yeah.
So you're doing everything you would do in this universe. Mm-hmm. It's just a different place.
Yeah. Or like Alice in Wonderland, like through the looking glass. Is that another universe where you walk through that portal and you go in and there's a completely different world over there? We don't know what's to say. We don't know.
No.
It's the possibilities are endless.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah. One of the reasons that I love Dolores's work is because things that like we want to use our logical minds, or like scientists go that way. Well, with Dolores, it's like they pick at the subconscious and they pull things that you couldn't possibly know. And so it's like the great way of confirming what's possible. And she's definitely a believer in simultaneous time and in parallel universes. Yeah. I don't see, there's so much that we don't know how these things, it's very possible. Right. Very, very possible.
It's the power of the mind. So that's why I am so fascinated and such a believer in her work, because she's tapping into the mind.
Right.
Through hypnosis. Yeah. And I've done it. I mean, I don't know if I've ever shared that story.
Yeah, you did.
But, that I've done it, and I went into it as a skeptic.
Yeah.
And I was proven completely wrong. Yeah. So I think, wow, the power of the mind. It's because,
yes.
I mean, I did things under hypnosis that I physically could not do.
Yes.
I know that I could not put 2 chairs, one under my neck and one under my Achilles tendons.
Yeah.
And balance with a glass of water on my stomach for minutes.
Yeah, not if you not in your
I know
conscious
that
mind.
I can't do that. Mm-hmm. But she made me do it.
Right. Yep. The mind absolutely controls more than we even know.
Yeah.
If that's something that if we could tap into more, it would be good for our society. Tap into those telepathy feelings and,
Well, I think a lot of the answers to those things, you know what I mean? We are an extension of the Creator. We are that light.
Yeah.
So the information is within us, but we have to find it.
Right. Yep. That's right.
So
Another mind twister subject here is time travel.
it's a good one.
Time travel, this subject, we could take it a couple of different ways. And I was reading this one article and I had this one moment where I was like, wah, 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 because they're like, time travel, the way that it's meant, is not about how you see it in the movies. It's not about going back in time or into the future. And I was so sad. I'm like, oh, this is going to be boring. I thought they were going to tell me of reasons why we can go back in the past. And, I still think we can. I don't know that you can call that time traveling. I think that's more like astral projection.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if there is a simultaneous time, which I tend to believe there is, our subconscious mind, there's no reason why we can't go to any spot. Does that make sense?
Right.
Kind of like, I don't know, Scrooged a little bit, like that movie. It kind of reminds me of that, it's more mental, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's for sure possible.
Yeah.
And even Dolores has proven that with Nostradamus.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Yeah, the simultaneous time.
Do I believe that there's a technology that enables us to maybe do that? That maybe even we're aware of? I would have to say, yeah, maybe I think so. Or we're on the brink of discovering that. Or
Right.
really refining it.
Right.
But it kind of also goes into play with jumping into some of these things we don't know about, like
Right.
black holes and portals and things like that.
Totally.
That allows us to end up to a certain place.
Yeah, we don't know. Absolutely. So Albert Einstein, he had the theory of relativity, like you were saying. And theory of relativity says that time and space are linked together, that our universe has a speed limit. Nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. And the faster you travel, the slower you experience time. So, for example, 2 clocks are set at the same time, same exact time. One clock stays here on Earth, and the other, well, it's still kind of on Earth, but you're flying in an airplane. So the other clock is on the airplane, right? And it's going the same direction as the Earth goes, the rotation, right? When that gets back to the same spot, has a slightly slower time than the clock that stayed here the whole time. And so it's slower than, it's 1 second per second is what they say that our experience of time is 1 second per second, which makes sense.
Right.
So the clock that comes back from the plane ride around the globe has a slower time than the time that was left here on Earth.
Right.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that kind of shows how time travel in a different sense is possible.
Right.
The bending of space, like you said,
Right. Well, if we want to break it down to brass tacks, I mean, getting in a car and driving from one point to another is, in essence, time travel.
Yeah.
Because you're killing a lot of extra time.
Right.
So if we can do that,
Right.
why is it not possible?
I honestly believe that anything is possible. I don't know, if, like, we could get into a car and make, like Back to the Future and make something like that where you shoot back into the future or some kind of, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
anything.
that part is a little bit convoluted in itself. It's like maybe that part is more of a, astral projection,
right?
Out of body kind of experience,
right?
Where you're able to experience different times in the past,
exactly,
or the future, or whatever. But the actual time travel, like in space, meaning like warp speed, where you're moving quickly, which I definitely believe that's what's going on with other existences that have the technology. They're using these tunnels, this fabric that, whatever it is that can bend and move out there, they're using it to their advantage.
Absolutely.
So, they're not maybe necessarily going back in time or forward. Who knows? Maybe they are.
Yeah.
But they're definitely time traveling if they're zipping through at the speed of light.
Yeah. That's a trippy subject.
Yeah.
I get myself all totally wrapped up in all of these things and start to think of, like, how is it that we know so little about all of it, too? How are we just starting to really discover? One of the things that I think people worry a lot about when it comes to these types of mysteries is how our planet is going to end. And maybe even our galaxy. How is this going to end? How's the end going to happen? And I, years and years ago, had all of a sudden had this inexplicable fear of the sun exploding. I never heard such a thing about that being a possibility. All of a sudden I was just like, oh my gosh, what if the sun were to explode one day? And then we went to the Griffith Park Observatory, and they actually have a thing about how that is a possibility, how it will happen. Right. It was not going to happen in our lifetime, but it will happen. And so it was almost like I felt like it was an intuitive thought then at that point that this is how the Earth is going to end, that the sun is going to explode.
Yeah. So, it doesn't it essentially kind of does where it becomes a supergiant.
Yeah.
And it kind of becomes big.
Right.
So every life on every planet in our solar system is going to be gone.
Right.
If there's anything alive anywhere else on our solar system, it's all going to be gone before that ever happens, because it's just going to get so hot.
So hot, yeah.
As it's getting larger and larger, and then I think it just kind of becomes a black hole at some point.
Yeah.
Just shrinks down and implodes.
It sucks everything into it. But we will not be alive for that.
No.
The way that the progression of that has to happen is that the sun, like you said, it has to get hotter and hotter and hotter, and it's going to take Earth out, and we'll find another home.
We will.
It won't be in our lifetime or any of those things. But eventually, that I do believe that is how the Earth will. And
we're also
end.
thinking of it in physical terms.
This is true. Yes.
So, if we want to then interject, the fifth dimension topic of how does that work? But even then, you're going to have the technology and the knowledge to be far gone from this solar system by the time life will have the knowledge to get off way earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I don't think going to be an issue. No. But yeah, you do that. Kind of got me thinking about that. Another mystery in a way you could look at the parallel universes is the other side is heaven. It's a portal basically. I've said that. It's like, for me, I'm not going to say that they open a little portal and they come through it, but it is kind of like the spirits come from someplace else. I don't believe that our heaven is like people believe up in the sky on clouds. They don't just wait on a cloud to come down.
No.
There's definitely a different dimension that they go to.
Yes.
So, and that dimension is heaven. And so
they could sit and float in empty space if they want.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, absolutely.
They can sit and float in your living room.
Absolutely, they could. Yep.
So it's the same place, but it's different.
Right.
Different laws. So a different dimension means different laws. Not the same laws that apply to us in this physical material world. Mm-hmm. It's different, but it's the same place. I always know that there's a progression for these episodes and why we talk about them in the way that we do. And I think that we needed to do the episode on the fifth dimension in order for people to understand this episode too, because the fifth dimension,
our thoughts are stuck in the third dimension.
Yeah.
So a lot of this we can't grasp. We don't understand. How could there be a parallel universe? How could there be, a portal to another universe? Whatever. That is our third dimension mind telling us those things.
Right.
Once you start thinking into the fourth and fifth dimension, you start to open your mind more and see that anything is possible.
Yes.
And just because we can't grasp it as humans doesn't mean it's not possible.
No.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, and the more people that come along in this world and are seeking this information that was lost from a previous time, just the purity of seeking this information, as long as it's dealt with and used, good for the good.
Right.
This will come back. It will be understood again.
Absolutely.
But for now, it's we're having to seek it like for the first time. But it's not the first time humans and this planet have known the answers to a lot of these mysteries.
And I think for those of us on this spiritual journey, you start to see how it all intertwines. Like, I've always been fascinated, and I know you have even more so than me, with space. That's been something that I enjoyed. And then you can look at the psychic world, and you can look at all of these things talking about the other side, and they all come together. They all somehow play off of each other. We just don't really understand how. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like, I look at this and I know that there's a portal that goes to the other side. And then I look at this gigantic universe that's out there, and I wonder, where does this portal go if there's this gigantic universe? Does it go to someplace within this universe, or is it an alternative one?
Right.
It's so mind-blowing, but
Maybe it's both.
Right.
And maybe it's not this universe.
Right.
So, again, it's just proof that we are all one.
Yes.
We are all connected. And therefore, if we are all one, meaning we came from the same source, then that information, that knowledge is within us. But we have to seek it.
That's
for
exactly
the right reason.
And I wrote that down so I wouldn't forget, is think deeper. We have to let what we've been taught go.
Yeah.
And thinking, like, I look back, I think it was like third grade that they taught about the solar system and the Milky Way galaxy. And I just remember being taught there's such many planets, and there's so many stars, and there's this and that, and that's it. And it wasn't like there was this huge possibility of all of these different things, and all these scientists that are trying to figure out different things. They don't really teach you that so much. You have to kind of go looking for the bigger source behind it.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to explain that.
We have so many people that were very smart in our world's history. Galileo, Plato, Newton, very smart individuals, okay? But with time and seeking, more information comes.
Right.
We seem to want to just stop when we hear some explanation, right? So Newton was the last guy that came up with this whole theory about how the universe works, and it was quite a time span from the time Newton to Einstein.
Yeah.
And look at that leap of advancement. When Einstein just sitting back, chilling, probably meditating, starting to think deep.
Yeah.
He smoked a pipe. I don't know what was in it, but
there's photos of him just sitting back, like looking at his paper, and I can see that he's tuned into something.
These people were all thinking deep.
They were tuned into the source too. They may not have known it, although some of them they're so smart they had to have known that they were tapped into something else.
Yeah.
They just probably were like, oh, these regular people won't understand. But one of the things that I love about the evolution of this and about science in general is that scientists, they're not afraid to say we were wrong. we didn't see this part. Now we're adding this. Now we're subtracting this. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, our society seems to be made up of, we won't change our beliefs because we've said that this is how it is. Like, politics is a lot like that, where science is like, oh, we didn't get this right last time.
Right.
So we're going to redo it and fix it. And it's a lot about theory and trying to figure things out and admitting that we don't know and we're trying to figure it out. Exactly.
None of us have it mastered. I think the minute we all say we have it figured out, then you're not teachable.
No.
And I want to remain teachable.
Yes.
Through life. Because I know that I'll have victories and I'll have failures. You know, I'll do good things and I'll make mistakes. But if I'm going to disregard the mistakes without trying to learn something from them, then there's no value to the experience.
Exactly. Look at this big, gigantic universe that we're talking about. I mean, just even look at the Milky Way galaxy. It is so big, and we want to believe that everything that we know right here is the truth. Yeah. And if we just expanded our minds more and started thinking about, man, if all of this is possible, if it's possible for this black hole that sucks things in to exist, it's possible that there's, another dimension on the other side. It opens us up to so much more. When you start thinking deeper about things like this, it gives your brain like the desire to start thinking deeper about so many things. Right. Because you start to realize, like I said, they all fit together. You start to think about religion more and about the things that you were taught there and how that fits in with this. And
everything has to be so scary.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Why would we be created to be put in a universe or whatever this is that's going on here? To be terrified of it all. Right. What's the purpose?
Yes. I was getting to that actually, is that there's a purpose. If you can't see that, you're not seeing the big picture of this. If there's this big, gigantic universe, how is our purpose here just to be born and die? It's not.
And be scared the whole time in between.
Right. This is just where we're put for right now to learn our lessons. It's like I just see like this little picker picks you up and goes, oh, what planet are we going to put you on?
But I mean, what if we did have the technology to send a camera into a black hole?
Yeah.
And it goes in there and we find out that it's like the most amazing, perfect universe you could ever imagine.
We're all going to want to go there.
We always, like everything, because space is black, obviously. Right. So much
black
is labeled
matter,
black.
Dark matter.
And then we sort of equate black as, scary.
Yeah, it's a label.
Like Halloween, dark. I think even in these times, we're looking at black people the same way, and it's stupid.
It is ridiculous.
It's like, come on.
Black dogs, black cats, too.
It's a color.
Right.
That's all it is. Just like black holes are a color. If they were pink holes, would they be more scary?
No. It'd probably be more, it'd be like, hello, people. Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Even people that they used to call me goth because I dressed in black all the time. It was everything's a total label about that. I'm not goth. Black is slimming. I prefer it. It's easy.
A lot of people,
So yeah, it's a total. And I mentioned this to you earlier too, and I may have mentioned it on the show already. Is that just because we can't see it doesn't mean that other beings don't. Other beings may see dark matter as pink. They may see a black hole as green. Yeah. We don't know. This is just what we perceive it as. We perceive it as dark. And then somehow we've turned dark into, like you said, into scary. And where that came from, I don't know.
Can't always judge a book by its cover.
No. Oh, hey, I look at pictures in space, and even with all the dark area, it's beautiful.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be a spirit and just float in total silence.
Mm-hmm. See everything.
And, I mean, what is one of the most favorite things for a human to do is lay down and look up at the stars. Mm-hmm. But I could actually be with them.
Right.
That to me is like, wow, I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
the
not
others,
in a hurry,
right.
but I can't wait for that experience.
There's a lot of cool things that come with going back to the other side when we pass that we don't even really think about, you know. That's a whole other episode.
And then it all becomes apparent.
Yes.
You know.
That's the thing, is that the more that we can learn here and the more that we can try and understand when we go there, I think it's even better, because it's like, was I right? Was this it? Did I figure this one out? Or, you know, if you spend your whole life just oblivious and ignorant, it's probably going to be quite the shock to you when you get there too. You know?
Well, it is. And I think that's why you have some people that have a hard time transitioning, because they're so tied to the earth. To their beliefs.
And
it's like, you got to let that go.
Yeah.
Because, unfortunately, we as humanity, at least in these times, have kind of failed each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Hiding information from each other, treating each other different.
Right.
I tell you what, if we were to chill out, start loving each other, start putting this energy and this focus in finding out these information about these mysteries, it would come to us.
It really would.
Everything that we need to know would be given to us. It could be from other life forms.
Yeah.
It could just be somebody getting an epiphany or some sort of connection and coming up with answers. It would be solved. Everything we need to survive without money is on this planet.
Absolutely.
Everything we need.
Absolutely. We were given, I kind of trying to figure an analogy for this earlier. It's almost like going on a game show like Survivor or something, and they supply you with your needs and say, now you have to survive.
Right.
But you have everything that you need to survive right there. You just need to figure out how to use it.
Right.
And the problem with society and humanity is that we got lazy somewhere. And instead of trying to figure out how to do this for the better of our people, we wanted to do it to make more money.
Yeah.
We could have free electricity if they cared enough to give us free electricity.
Yep.
But that's not important when greed comes in.
No, it doesn't fit into these people's agenda or their pocketbook.
Right.
So, no, but it's all here.
Yes.
And it wouldn't require a cent.
Nope.
The whole concept of money is very bizarre when you think about it.
I hate it.
But some people would go, well, what would there be without it? Well, think deeper.
Yeah. Not
maybe
as much
there's
stress.
Maybe there's a better answer.
Yeah.
But, it's all... I believe that the answers would be there.
Yeah.
And I believe that they avoid us for very good reasons. And look at what's going on in this world, this country, and it's spread to the world.
Yeah.
Just in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Look at it. It's no wonder that they don't want to come here and help us.
I don't blame them.
I do feel like they'll intervene on certain situations, and they have, when it comes, especially comes to nuclear power and weapons.
Yeah.
They are not about to sit back and let us destroy ourselves.
No.
And there'll be nobody left on Earth. They won't let that happen.
No.
They also won't allow that crap in space.
No. Oh, no.
So there's a lot of stories of military installments and missiles just being shut down.
Yeah, things gone wrong that they can't explain.
And they can't explain.
And it is intervention.
It is.
Yeah, whether it's from divine intervention or from alien intervention or what it is.
It is divine, and that is the sense of they're totally connected.
This is true,
to the other side. Mm-hmm. So everything they do is for the greater good of the universe.
You're right.
So is it God stopping it miraculously? No, I don't think that.
No.
He has workers for that.
Yeah.
We're all those workers. We have to finally come to that realization.
Right. Well, you have to look at it this way, too, that these other aliens, whatever you want to call them, other planets, if something were to happen, like if we were to blow up our Earth with nuclear weapons, it would affect everything else.
It's a chain reaction.
So they don't want us to do it for the fact that it's also going to affect the rest of the universe. We don't even understand what we're doing if we do something like that.
Right.
It would... Think about it. It would throw off everything. Gravity, everything. So, yeah.
I don't think they'll allow it.
No, they won't. They won't. Which is why it's not going to go down that way.
No.
Yeah. But these are all, again, all mysteries, all things that,
Yeah.
we're learning. And
This is a good time to be alive, even though it's kind of scary and a little bit uncertain. There's going to be, and there has been, but there will be continue to be huge advancements.
yes.
And we're going to see we're going to hear a lot of crap that's going to blow our minds, and things will be revealed to us, some things that we probably didn't want to know.
Right.
But some other amazing things will be.
Yeah.
And this is a time for this to happen,
It is. If you're like us and, you listen to our show and you go, whoa, I feel that, you're here for a reason.
Yeah.
You chose to be here during this time so that you
Sure.
can be a light worker and help, because that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
Is to make the change. It's not going to happen on its own.
No, and it's going to take a really long time. And it can't be like nothing against the summer of love. That if I could pick a time to ever be like born and raised in,
Yeah.
it'd probably be like the mid to late 60s.
Right.
And that was a wonderful, beautiful movement that was happening within our culture. But it just stopped
Right.
because they got scared, and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But this time I have a very strong feeling that people aren't going to stop until it changes.
Absolutely. I agree with you. We have to.
Yeah.
Now is the time.
Yep.
And we will get it done, and we're all in this together. Like
Yep.
you said. So,
We need each other for the answers.
yep.
So we got to listen to each other
That we do.
and talk to each other.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Cool.
Well, we got on a philosophy chat. That's what usually happens. I kind of knew that the episode was going to go that way,
Right.
because sometimes we just start talking and we get going on other things, and that's why we really named the show Philosophy Chatter, because that's what we do. So when you hear us do that, that's what happens a lot of times in our house.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It helps us explore all kinds of different topics.
I think we were doing good because those lights were going crazy over there.
Were they?
Yeah.
Like I've said before, there's definitely a reason why we feel this to do certain episodes at a certain time. And I feel like they placed this episode this week for a reason. It was a difficult one for me to put together because it's not my thing. I'm not scientific.
Right.
But I know that there's a reason for it, and we'll understand that more later. But
Yeah.
I do believe a lot of it is, too, so that we can see how big and possible things are.
Very.
Yeah.
It was good.
I thought so.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, and thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, before we say goodbye, would you like to share your information?
Yes. You can find everything on my website at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. I put up my second blog post this week about animals, what they want you to know about fireworks.
That's a good one. Thank you.
Yeah, I
They
think
hate 'em.
They do hate them, but I think it needed to be explained as to why they hate them and what you can do. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's just an animal. It'll be fine." Stop it. So that's what my blog was about. So because
Good.
I love the animals.
That's awesome.
That's what I got.
Cool. And for me, djonesartcollection.com for the web, and at djonesartcollection for Facebook and Instagram, and gypsybrown.com for the music for the web, and at gypsybrownmusic for Instagram, and at gypsybrownband for Facebook. Still plugging away at the recordings. Moved on to song number 2.
Hey,
So we're doing good.
wonderful.
Keep your ears out, folks. Coming soon. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate everybody listening in. We hope you didn't bend your mind too much. It's some
Yeah.
pretzel logic, but
Yeah.
it's fun. I
Always a
love
good
diving
time.
into that stuff.
I learned a lot doing the research too.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Cool. Well, everybody have a great week,
Yep.
and until next week,
Peace and love.